Now I gotta prop my phone up. Hey, we are shocked that I managed to hit the live button at the right time. And that did not necessarily mean I was ready for the show to start tonight. A true professional, but guess what, everyone? This is actually going to be an insane show because Alexis is joining late and we have a huge surprise planned for her. If you don't know, it's Alexis Blake Reed's Comics birthday today. She just hit 10K literally an hour before we went live. She's out celebrating her birthday. So we said, you know what? Marissa and I will hold down the show tonight. And if she joins us later, we have a huge surprise waiting for her on TikTok tonight. So if you want to come see the surprise on TikTok, I will give a preview of it early so we all know what's in store and everyone can start planning what they want to say. However, it's going to be pretty fun. I'm really excited. I have Marissa here with me on YouTube and Twitch, and I want to say hi to everyone on YouTube and Twitch. I'm just going to add Marissa to the stream here on TikTok, and then I'll show you all the surprise. Okay, Marissa's going live. I'm going to add her as a co-host here in a second. Oh my God, my microphone's not even plugged in, y'all. This is the true live experience.
It's happening. We're doing it.
It's happening live, y'all. Okay. So the surprise that we have for Alexis, I'm going to go turn it on Twitch and YouTube right now. So you can go to the link in my bio, go onto the Twitch or the YouTube live stream, and you will see.
I got it.
Oh, you're here? Okay, I'm going to add Marissa. Perfect. So now we're here together. Hello,
okay, we're doing
everybody.
it. Oh, no, I hear it. Hold on.
I know, I had the echo too.
Why was the volume on? Why?
This happens every week. This is part of the fun. So tonight we're talking about What If. We have a huge game planned where we're going to talk about Rogers the Musical and Taylor Swift music and the intersection of the two. It's going to be wild. If you don't know, Marissa's literally an expert on all things Broadway and musicals, and she's going to give us her expertise as we walk through it. But it is Alexis's birthday tonight, and Alexis might be joining later in the show. So I'm going to show y'all what we have planned on YouTube and Twitch right now. We're going to show you quickly before Alexis tunes in so that y'all can see the surprise and know what's coming. Are you ready? Let me know in the comments if you're ready to see the surprise. And if you're watching on TikTok, come join us so you can see what's up. We are playing a game at in the second half of the show. We're going to talk about our new What If episode of choice. We're playing What If Alexis Blake Reed's Comics was in the MCU. And if you're watching on YouTube and Twitch, you can see we've got Natasha in a party hat. We've got Bucky and Alpine in birthday party hats. And we are going to talk about if Alexis was an MCU character, who would she be? What would her powers be? How would she help misogynistic men overcome their shit? You know, like talk about the impact she'd have. And it's going to be really fun. So I would like everyone to keep this in mind. If you've heard the phrase cone of silence, like everyone keep the secret. If Alexa shows up, don't tell her what we have planned. But now you know this is coming. So get your thoughts together, get the wheels rolling in your mind. If Alexis was an MCU superhero, who would she be? What powers would she have? You know, the delay is longer on YouTube than on Twitch. Yeah, I know. It's the provider that we use to stream this show. I think that makes the delay a little bit hectic, but that's okay. So everyone, keep that question top of mind. If Alexis Blake Reed's Comics was in the MCU, what would her superpower be? And with that, we're going to change the scene back to the What If branding so that we can all pretend that that's not happening and we can surprise Alexis if she shows up. And the other game we're playing tonight, a quick reminder, we'll be doing Rogers the Musical Taylor Swift edition, where Marissa's walking us through the structure of a musical, and we'll be talking about the Taylor Swift songs that we think would fit inside that structure. It's going to be a lot of fun. But first, Marissa's here tonight, which is so exciting. If you watched last week's show, we had so much fun talking about our fan casting, and I can show y'all quickly if you missed it. We fan casted Rogers the Musical, and when I say we went in, like we went in. We talked about it if the show is a serious Broadway musical. We talked about it if it was this kind of like fun, lighthearted Star Kids style production. And if you're looking at the screen on YouTube and Twitch, you can really see how chaotic this was. We had just about everything you would not imagine happening. Do you stand by your choices a week later, Marissa?
I definitely stand by my serious casting.
Yes.
Yeah. And you know what? I feel pretty good about like the one straight boy in your musical theater class playing Tony Stark. Yes. I feel pretty good about that.
He's here. If you're wondering, it's this block right here. I completely agree. I also feel particularly good about Party City Thor in reflection. I think that's really the correct direction for that casting, along with pulling any street vendor from the streets of New York to play Shawarma Guy. That's a really inventive twist on getting the audience involved in the show. I think that was great. But I think we'll leave the fan casting there for a moment. And we're going to talk about What If this week. And Marissa, you do one of, I think, the greatest What If commentaries on TikTok every week. Well, you tell everyone the series that you make every week after watching this incredibly interesting show unfold. Tell everyone the angle that you take on it.
So
I turn on my ring light so people can see me.
Okay, I have an important question. Can you hear the reverb of the TikTok live? Because I can still hear it. It's still very quiet, but like, can you hear it?
I can't hear it, but if people listening can hear it, please let us know.
Because like, I don't know. I got Beats headphones. I don't know how good this mic is.
Try turning down the volume on your phone all the way.
I have.
Oh, you have?
And like when I do the drop-down menu, my actual volume is muted. But when I try and turn it down just in the live, it's still like on the bottom.
Oh, interesting. Like, what microphone are you using? People, thank you on TikTok. People on TikTok saying that it's fine on their end. What about people on YouTube and Twitch? If you can hear the reverb, can you like give us a little, let us know in the comment. I don't want to say thumbs up because that could be taken either way, that you can or cannot hear it. But if you can give us a little context, that would be great. Otherwise,
hi, Justin.
We can just suffer.
Roommate.
Hi, friends.
I can only hear, I hear it, but I don't know if like the mic is picking it up. So I don't know.
Okay. Well, if it's bothering you that much, we can figure it out as we go. But if we can talk through it, let's talk through it a little bit. And just a quick reminder for our friends watching on TikTok, we have a huge surprise planned for Alexis. It's Alexis's birthday today. Alexis is out celebrating. She might come later in the show. So if Alexis shows up, everyone's going to make a ton of comments, a ton of noise wishing her happy birthday to also tell us that she's here. And then we can get the surprise started. But first, Marissa, I want you to tell everyone about the show you do every week about What If, because it's truly iconic. I look forward to it every week. Unfortunately, I know how much lift it is to do a little skit like that every week, but it's honestly so worth it because you really speak for all of us in this series.
Thank you. It's fun. Yeah, I like fell into it with the first episode. I had so many questions about the Captain Carter episode that I thought like, I wish I could ask these questions directly to the writers. So I put myself in the writer's room, and every week I have a series where I do basically a skit of what if I was in the writer's room of that week's episode of What If. And I currently have a really antagonistic relationship with the head writer. It's getting more intense as the weeks go on. I think I'm personally getting more frustrated. And they are in turn getting more frustrated with me.
I love it. No, I truly love it. And honestly, like I feel like it is if it's not like 99% accurate, I do think it's like a 100% accuracy rate of like what is happening inside the Marvel's writers' room for any woman or any person just trying to like improve the storytelling. So I really think that like you're keen in on some psychic abilities that maybe you didn't know you had. And you should like probably go talk to some like professional psychics and see like how well you line up with them, because it truly is masterful what you do.
Thank you. Thank you.
So how long does it take you to make that series every week? Like, does it come to you as you're watching it, or do you have to like horribly sit in reflection and really think about like just how problematic some of the stuff is that they do?
Usually I don't think about it before I film it. I don't script it.
I love that. It just comes to you.
Yeah, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I just like sit down and like film a pass straight through. I just rotate my little tripod either way for each person talking.
I love it.
I don't know. I don't plan it at all.
Really?
I just like go through the beats of the episode basically and think about what my reaction would be. And I also do it a few days after the episode is aired. So I'm able to see how other people have reacted. And sometimes I sort of just sew in their
Totally. Because I feel like you know, people catch things that like you don't always catch on the first watch. Part of the reason why like I am religiously checking Straw Hat Goofy's page, because there's always Easter eggs and theories by T as well. They're always catching things I miss on that first watch. But no, I think you have like an incredible knack for like nailing just exactly the tone of how we all feel watching those episodes. So I'm so excited to see what you thought of this week's episode. And to everyone watching, I want to hear what you thought too of this week's episode, because it was truly there's been a lot of questions that we've asked over the weeks, and you know, this episode continued to ask those exact same questions. So every week we talk about how, you know, did the question that they're asking really match the story that they told? And, you know, was it the right question to ask this character? And who is the intended audience for this show? And how is this going to contribute to the greater, like, MCU Phase 4? And watching this episode, I asked all those same questions to myself of, wow, like maybe I don't understand like who the audience of this show is supposed to be. And then, you know, that very final scene, I was like, wait, no, I think that my prediction was actually correct, because what is this ending? And, you know, I feel a little frazzled coming out of this episode. How did you feel watching it?
Yeah, I had a fun time watching it. I enjoyed it more than a lot of the other episodes.
It didn't make me irrationally angry. Let's start there.
Yeah, but I also didn't understand why it happened, basically. I think the question that you ask, is it asking the right question for what happens in the episode, is a rough one to talk about, because how much did Thor being an only child really change the story?
Correct. Yep. I mean, no, absolutely.
He's not really that much of a different person. He's a little worse. He's a little heightened. I don't like him as a person as much. Yeah. But like
the big change we really got was the Loki plot of this episode, which was not fleshed out to be a proper plot like step one, and nor was that the intention of Loki in this episode. However, when we talk about like taking extraordinary action via what if scenarios, there's been a lot of lackluster in terms of just how far the imagination can stretch in some capacities. I would say this episode somewhat would edge out the others in terms of really stretching the what if factor. But it certainly did not come from Thor, which I thought was interesting. It was everything happening because of Thor.
Yes. Yeah. It was framed as a story about Thor, and Thor was there.
He was.
But like the big changes weren't Thor.
Correct. Nor did Thor himself change.
Yeah.
He got almost caught, avoided trouble almost, and then delivered flowers to Jane and asked her on a date. Like, that's not growth. That's not character development. That's not growth.
Yeah. I think honestly the only real change was that Thor was a better romantic partner.
But was he, or was he still a frat boy trying to get a date? Like, you know?
But like,
and also, if you have to go to a guy, to everybody watching, if you have to go to a man's mother because of his mistakes before he even asks you on a date, that is a red flag. Do not accept flowers from that man.
That's very true.
I would never. Jane Foster is a PhD, multiple PhD, perhaps. I'm not sure her exact qualifications, but she is certifiably smart. On paper, she is very educated. She should not have accepted. If she had to go through, not even different universes, but if she had to call upon someone that she thought was fictional, to bring her to Asgard and then to wherever Frigga went, because I don't know where the dinner party she was at, I don't know. I can't think of the specifics. I'm so angry. And she's still willing to let that man do the minimum. No. If an Asgardian comes to you saying like he can treat you well and then tries to destroy your planet, do not say yes to a date with that man.
Yeah. I guess
That's just my rant of the week, I suppose.
I guess I'm thinking about, like, in comparison to in the MCU, like, doesn't he leave with no warning for like 2 years?
That's true.
He does come back at the end of the episode and is like, I like you, why won't you talk to me? But like, I guess between Thor and Dark World, he just pieces out for ever.
He just said, I'm gonna ghost you for a little bit, and also I live somewhere with no cell reception, so
yeah,
you can't even, catch my Instagram while I'm gone. I do want to bring in what y'all are saying, because I'm liking what I'm reading here in the comments. There was a lot of great moments in this episode, but it really didn't answer the question, and I agree completely with that. It was a fun one to watch with a great voice cast. But also, I don't know if I really cared much about if Thor was an only child, and this episode also did not make me care about Thor being an only child. If anything, seeing how happy Loki was, I was like, damn, Thor should be an only child. Like, let the man live. Let the frost giant live. And the other comment that I'm seeing that I really like is the question they should have asked is, what if Odin didn't steal a child? I think you're spot on. Absolutely. That was a better question.
Yeah. I also had people in the comments of my What If I Was in the Writer's Room episode that I posted today asking, like, what about Hela? Like, she supposedly still exists. So he's not technically an only child. So it's really an inaccurate title.
We didn't even see Hela come to the party. You really think the goddess of death would miss like an all-earth destruction party? Like, I feel like that's her jam. I feel like that's what she does every weekend. She just picks a different one that's only got like unicorns on it. It's like, all right. Yeah, we don't need 10 planets with unicorns. Like, let's take one out.
Yeah, we got Surtur flirting with the Statue of Liberty, but no Hela.
We did, and I have a photo of that. If you're not watching on YouTube and Twitch, you're missing some of the context of the graphics I'm pulling up while we're talking here. So let's just discuss some of what we did see this episode, because we really were served a lot of interesting prospects. Like you mentioned, this might be my new favorite. I don't know. I like Stucky, but I might ship these two more. I might ship them more.
Are we going to see like Lady Liberty Surtur fanfics happening now?
If you're watching and you're a writer, please make it happen. For me, it was when he commented, like, I forget the exact word, but he said something like, oh, you're on fire too. But like the fire that she holds is like so clearly fake. Yeah. I was living for it. I thought that was so smart. I loved it. Next, let's just go down the list of moments that I have here.
I just want to say to everybody on my live, hello. We're live with producer Liz on Stark Radio on YouTube and Twitch. You can go to the link in my bio and watch us over on YouTube and see all the lovely graphics Liz has made.
Yes, we have a lot of fun. And also, we have a surprise for Alexis. Alexis she's going to watch this back later anyway. So if Alexis is watching this back later, she's probably like laughing her head off at how we keep hinting towards the surprise that she like did not end up coming to see. But if Alexis does make this live later, we have a surprise plan that you'll only be able to see if you're watching on YouTube and Twitch. So make your way over. Let's keep walking through kind of some of the chaos that we saw in this episode. Here's a moment that I felt was one of those scenarios where they must have had a hat with like characters and then activities, and they just kept pulling them saying like, all right, let's write this one and let's write this one. Howard the Duck made his return and married Darcy in a Vegas wedding hosted by Elvis himself.
Oh, I was so happy to see him, and then it just took a turn that I wasn't interested in. I was like, it's going to be fun and chaotic. And then don't do this to Darcy, please. Darcy deserves so much better.
Let's talk about it. The women, this was an episode that had many women, and you did excellent commentary on this in your video. So I don't want to steal the words from you because you really put it best. Do you want to share what you said? Because it really summarizes the feminist rant episode, a moment of this episode.
Okay. So technically, I believe this is the first What If episode that has passed the Bechdel test, because we get the conversation with Jane and Darcy in the truck at the very beginning of the episode. And they're not technically talking about a man.
Nope, they're
talking about an alien, which ends up being a man. So in my video, I said, do aliens count? Because I'm so desperate, no. So it passes. But like, that is the bare minimum. Mm-hmm. And there's so many women in this episode. And
there are so just the many.
One conversation at the beginning that we get. Like,
you even have moments where you have a character like Nebula who came back, right? And made like her appearance. And she's surrounded by male characters, right? So she can't even like have a moment to like confer or chat with like someone else. And we saw a lot of really cool callbacks. Like we had Korg, we had Howard the Duck, we had Valkyrie, we had Nebula, we had like so many characters kind of came to this party, right? So it does make me ask, right? Like, you're going to make a point to put so many women in this episode. You're going to write so many women in. Mm-hmm. And it's still all going to revolve around frat-boy Thor. And Jane is going to once again defer to her romantic feelings for Thor. And I just left a bad taste in my mouth, personally. Yeah. Darcy deserves so much better. I agree with you. Absolutely.
Dr. Darcy Lewis. I love her. Yeah. It felt like they heard our complaints and were just throwing women in for
throwing them in there. It's like, they said, okay, how can we put Maria Hill in? Okay, let's run over Dr. Fury with Korg, and that way Maria can have some lines. Like, it was like, yeah. Which, granted, I thought that moment was hilarious, and I did like seeing Maria back in action.
I was so excited to see her.
When she's at the doorway trying to get Jane to like open up, I was like, see, this is the Maria that like, yes, absolutely. And I do like how we never found out if Dr. Fury recovered. That was like a moment that was just left ambiguous. Yeah. Interesting.
It's a mystery.
Just like the way they write women, it is a mystery to us. So maybe we'll end our feminist rant of the week at that. And let's talk about the big moment, obviously, the talk of the town on TikTok this week. You cannot talk about this episode without fixating completely on Jotunheim Loki, 12-foot tall Loki and Thor bromancing it out, having the time of their lives. My new favorite boy band, Loki and what do they call them? The Ice Bros?
Ice Bros, yeah.
Ice Bros. I want to be an Ice Bro. Like, what's their hit single? I'd like to know. Oh, and they all have like these matching hairstyles, which I think is just like really wholesome. They really said like, let's all go to the same barber and like get the same cut for this Midgardian party. And I think that's awesome for them. Good for them.
Yeah, they look great.
So what did you think when you saw Loki kind of come to life? I know for me, the moment was spoiled because I saw TikToks before I watched the episode. So I knew it was coming. I didn't really have that grand reveal moment. But what did you think when you first saw him?
I did not know it was coming. I thought there would be no Loki.
Okay.
And so I was very excited. I do my What If I Was in the Writer's Room, but I also just do like a vlog of my reactions as I watch the episode. Yeah. So you can watch me film my genuine reaction to Jotunheim Loki. And I was surprised. Yeah. And genuinely I said out loud, oh my God, he's so tall.
He is so tall. And I don't know if I really realized that they were supposed to be that tall. I don't know why, but I didn't really clue in. Maybe, did anyone else feel that way? I was kind of surprised seeing how tall these guys were, but I was not complaining. And I did like the way that they took advantage of that to have those cute moments where they were like putting things back into place and like causing chaos just simply by like how big they were, right? Like, oh, we're going to make a slingshot out of this like very historic and like well-known thing. Yeah, I thought it was cute.
Yeah, I feel like the scale got larger as the episode went on. Like, I was like, oh, he's tall. And then like he would lean down to like talk to Thor and his head would be like the size of Thor. And then at one point when he's holding the phone between his like thumb and his finger, I was like, I feel like he's growing as the episode goes on. Like everything is getting smaller around him. Yeah.
I completely agree. I especially in that phone scene, I was really trying to calculate like how big is his finger if the phone is like not even the size of his fingernail. And then I think the better question was, what phone did Thor have that was that small? Like, was it an iPhone 5? Like maybe it was an iPhone 4.
It had to be like extra small.
Yeah. A comment here I want to bring up. All I wanted from the Loki series was Jotun Loki, and it was nice to finally get it. I saw this amazing meme on Twitter. I don't know who made it, so I can't give credit because I don't know, but whoever made it, I applaud you. It was like the guy walking and like looking behind him at the other girl meme, and it was like the Loki series of Loki fans, and then like Jotunheim Loki. And yeah, it's like honestly, kind of, yeah, absolutely. And let's also just like applaud Tom Hiddleston once again for giving an incredible performance.
So good.
I had to rewind when I was done watching to make sure it was him because I was so surprised. Because every week I watch those opening credits with like my eyes glued open, trying to see like who is in this. Like I want to hear them, and I doubted myself because that's how good Tom was, being this like ice bro like to the max.
Yeah,
I didn't know he had it in him.
Yeah, it was great.
It was great. Tom Hiddleston with the voice acting. I'd like more, please.
Yeah. He did some movie with Maisie Williams like forever ago.
Yes.
I've never seen it, but
it's
out there.
We'll do a watch party. Oh, you and me will do a watch party of it. That'll be great.
He also was young Captain Hook, I think, in one of the Pixie Hollow movies.
And the Tinkerbell movies. And he's saying the Oh How High Will Be song. So I sing that every once in a while to myself. It gets stuck in my head. And I've never seen that movie. I just know the TikTok sound.
Yeah, he's been in the booth before. He's familiar.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry if y'all can hear the noise in the background, but that's all right. That's just doing a live show from your stay-at-home setup. Let's talk about this incredible moment at the end, which I have many questions about this ending. I was very glad to see that I was not missing something, because a lot of y'all had questions too and were coming to me being like, did you understand the ending of the episode? To which I was like, I watched the same ending that y'all did. I also don't know what this is. It's like Ultron meets Vision.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
The first time I watched the episode, I didn't even notice that it was Vision. I was like, it's Ultron, and he has the Infinity Stones. And then I saw like the Mind Stone like sort of like floating, and I was like,
weird.
Oh. But then like, I don't know why I thought the Mind Stone was just like free floating in his head.
Yep.
But then I think it was the Straw Hat Goofy video that I saw where he was talking about Vision, and then like there was a close-up screen grab of like Vision's head in the Ultron head, and I was like, oh, it is Vision, because I don't know.
Jump scare of the week. If this will not haunt your dreams, I'm like, I don't know what will, because honestly it was like a little unnerving, right? But here's the beauty of that moment. It did give us my new favorite meme. Oh, yes. Which is the watcher going, wait, what?
Yeah.
Which is me constantly watching the show. So I did enjoy that even the watcher was confused. And once again, I am left asking, what is this building to? What is the watcher going to do? And how is it going to impact phase 4? I am filled with questions and I have no answers.
I don't know, because if it's all supposed to be connected, then like, how do we have a zombie Thanos and a good Thanos? And that's the one where I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
That does not compute. How is it going to all come together? Like people, well, I mean, it already seems like we're going to have variants fighting each other. So like, just how far is it going to go, right? Yeah. We have to finish this segment of the show on a high note. For once, for once, we can talk about What If on a high note, which, some episodes have silver linings. This one, for me, definitely did. It was not perfect, but it was satisfactory, and that is the bar I'm holding this series to. Captain Marvel shined. Yes! Carol gave me everything.
Oh, it was so good.
So good.
I have one complaint.
Let's hear it.
It's that they didn't 100% confirm that Carol is stronger than Thor, because she never actually beat him. She didn't lose.
It was a cop-out.
But she didn't win. And it was like, oh, we got to appease the Thor fans and the Carol fans.
And I really did not enjoy how they ended the episode with Carol deciding to help Thor when she comes back and like, oh, here's an iPad with all the research you wanted. I'm going to help you not get in trouble. No! Rat him out!
Yeah.
Put him in line, Carol, at least to me. That was my reaction. Like, Thor did not deserve her help.
I know. I guess she's nicer in this universe.
She's a better person than I am in this universe. I would have been like, listen here, let me tell you about the party your son threw. It definitely was some wishy-washy writing in terms of like just how strong she is and not upsetting Thor fans. And, I think it just reinforces this idea that like Captain Marvel is to be called upon to fix other people's problems. And I think that like not in this moment, but like at some point we should all consider how like Captain Marvel, one of the strongest Avengers, one of the only leading women in Marvel, is written in the stereotype of women coming up to clean men's problems. And there's a lot to unpack around that.
Yes. In my notes, I pulled an Alexis, everyone, and I wrote notes when I rewatched the episode, and I wrote, Carol is the babysitter. She's just there to like clean everyone's messes, and she won't tattle on you to your mom if you clean up and admit you made a mistake. Like, correct. That's a babysitter.
And she is more than a babysitter.
She's so much more than a babysitter. She cannot be
confined to just the babysitter role. And I really like this comment. I needed more Carol. We did. We needed more Carol, not in the reaction of men. Yeah, in my opinion.
I have Freddie's roommate. I have Justin over
roommate.
on my live, and we have
an
Carol.
Iconic king. Can we just say that very quickly? Like, follow, please. Okay,
style icon.
Honestly,
style icon.
I'm serious. Absolutely, yes.
And he says Carol would have bodied Thor easily, and I agree. I agree.
And I hated this excuse of like, oh, well, like, I don't want to kill all of Earth. Like, you have the whole galaxy to fly him to. Bring him somewhere else. It'll take you
in the middle of the desert. Seconds. What's the difference between Siberia and the desert? Or
I also had problems with that. I also had problems with her saying, let's go to a country that's not America to like kick Thor's ass, and like that will be like reason. I was like, that was also a little problematic, but I'm not going to go into that in this episode because we have a lot more to talk about. And frankly, this episode, I think, was a little surface level. So our conversation can match that energy. And maybe next week when Alexis is back, we can dig in a little bit more with her thoughts. I do want to say Carol would have, someone on YouTube's also saying Carol would have absolutely bodied him. So agreeing with y'all on TikTok, agreeing with y'all on YouTube and Twitch. I'm glad we're all of the same vein that like Carol shined this episode and deserved to shine even more.
Do we have time to talk about one more thing?
Absolutely.
Okay, Justin says maybe Carol could have picked up Thor's hammer. And I want to say she never tried. She never tried. This was a comment that I got on my video. She probably could have. She just didn't try. He put it on her like stomach, but she never tried to lift it. So like she couldn't get up, but she never tried to actually pick it up. So I think she could have.
It was very Steve Rogers of her, in my opinion. You know how Steve at the party in Age of Ultron's like, no, I'm not gonna. Or like he's like, oh, I don't. Like he could. We found out later he could lift the hammer, but then like he didn't at that moment, right?
Yeah. So she like accepted defeat in that moment. She was like, I'm not gonna embarrass you.
She's going to pick her battles. She was like, this is not the battle that I am going to pick. I'm like, you know what?
To quote her movie, she has nothing to prove to you.
There it is, folks. Can we take that energy and talk about it in the context of what's happening on TikTok right now. And this is something that I know we both feel very strongly about. And I really want to open this conversation to everybody listening, everybody that joins the show, both now while we're live, and then if you're watching later on, we'd love to hear your thoughts on this. There's a lot of conversation around just how toxic TikTok has been lately, and how a lot of creators, I include myself in this, feel more hesitant than ever sharing their typical good intentioned content. Because of just how toxic things have gotten. And I know for me, I make my innocent little which Avenger would go to a Harry Styles concert video, which is very good intentioned on my end. And I say nice things about every character except for Chris Pratt. And I'm saying Chris Pratt, the actor, and not the character, with like some good intention in my heart. And people still find ways to like attack and get so personal about it. And I just want to say that like that has to stop. We have to like call out just how horrible it's been. And I know I have a lot of privilege in this conversation, and it's been worse for others. And like I don't know what else to do other than like just call it out and open the conversation of like, what do we do as creators to make TikTok less toxic and to tell people that we're not going to stand for it? I don't have the answers, but and I'm not saying that you should or do either. I just think that it's like an important conversation to have.
I know. I do think it's rough that it sounds weird to complain about this, but like we put ourselves out there, we put our faces and our voices and our opinions out there, and people take that as free reign to tear down anything they can, even if it's the nicest, most well-intentioned video in the world. There will always be someone that has something to complain about it, or to be like a contrarian, because it's so sad. And
I think that it's really important to say that like this show that we do, this live show every week, was the initial creation of this show months ago when we started it in March of this year, and we've been going almost every week since March on this live, was created with the idea of creating a space that every week anyone on TikTok could come watch the show, whether you create content, whether you're a viewer yourself, and find other people to talk to about the shows and the pop culture that you love, and talk about what's happening. It's twisted into a primarily Marvel show because Marvel's just been dominating the conversation on TikTok in general. And I love Marvel, and I know all of you watching probably do too. That's why we're all here talking about What If every week. But it's so, you can see how much more fuel to the fire seems to have been added. And I just want to remind everyone watching that this show has a zero tolerance policy in terms of harassing one another, in terms of, making sure that this is a safe space. Like that is the top priority. And that's why we created this in the first place. Every week when we plan for the show, I try to think about like, what are we here to do? And it's to call out the toxicity that we see within the content that we love, like the What If episodes, and talk about feminism that's needed and why the writing could be improved and why that's important. And I think it's equally as important to say to everyone watching that, like, you deserve to come onto an app like TikTok and watch creators you love and not be harassed for sharing your good intentioned thoughts with others. And that's where I think I'm going to leave it for this week. But please feel free, Marissa, if you want to add to that, or if you want to speak to your followers. I know you have followers watching on your end. If there's anything you want to add.
I think you said it. I feel bad when I have to delete a comment or I have to block someone. But why are you going onto the internet to be mean to people? Not even just to me, to other people in the comment section. It's not necessary. What is it doing to you?
Come with good intention. Come with positive intention to this show, at least, and to creators' pages, and assume that people that are also there are coming with good intention and be nice to each other. Treat people with kindness, y'all.
Yes, listen to Harry.
treat people with kindness. I mean, there's a lot of other people that I think can deliver that message better than Harry Styles can right now, considering that his fans can also be very toxic and not kind to one another. But that's also a conversation for another day. I love Mr. Styles. I just have some issues with how his fans treat each other sometimes.
Mr. Stylish.
So with that said, if you have thoughts, feelings, or you want to talk about how we can make this live show every week a safer, more compassionate place for everyone that watches, we want to hear from you. Please let us know what we can do to continue creating at least one safe space on TikTok. If our comments aren't always going to be nice and TikTok's going to draw toxicity our way, let's at least make sure that when we gather every week, we can have a fun conversation and be well-intentioned and kind to each other. And with that, do you have something you want to add? Please.
No, I was just going to say I've had nothing but a lovely experience on your show, Liz.
Oh, wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you for saying that. It really does, like, you know, if I can like go on one more tangent before we go back to MCU for a moment. Like, I miss the days where like you could turn on your TV and watch like MTV Live. Or like if you're in Canada, like you watch Much Music Live, right? And they have facilitated conversation. Like they would say, okay, for the next 10 minutes of the show, we're talking about like the new One Direction album, right? And like everyone on Twitter would go on and be like, hey, we're talking about the new One Direction album. Like we're all going to talk about it together, right? And then they'd have like commentators on air being like, oh, like I see Liz on Twitter saying like, this is what you thought of the new album. Like, let's talk about that. And it felt like a very supportive environment. And it would get heated and there would be fun debate and people would have opinions. But it was always in the vein of like, we can gather and discuss as a fan community what's happening with the culture and the shows and the movies that we love and the music that we love. And like now it just seems like when you share an opinion with good intention or you share your thoughts with good intention, like, hey, I think that Taylor Swift's going to release 1989 next. People come for you in your comments and are like, you don't know anything, blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah.
And it's like, can we not just have a conversation? Like, why can't we have a facilitated conversation with good intention to each other? And that's why, like, I wanted to start this show, not because I was like, oh, I want to go live every week. Like, that was not at all what this was. It was like, I'm tired of, like, feeling like we don't have a space to gather and like every week, you know, you're watching What If and you're like, okay, I can't wait to talk about it with my friends Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to like go watch Black Widow and come to the show the next week and talk about it with Liz and like everyone that comes to the live and hangs out together. Like that's what I wanted the show to be from day one. Not like give Liz a soapbox to talk about her What If opinions on. Like it's meant to be for everyone that comments and tunes in and watches after and feels like, oh, we had a great conversation. And I, especially with Alexis co-hosting, where Alexis knows literally everything about the comics. Like I learn from Alexis every week. And that's also why I love doing this show. Cause I'm like, all right, Alexis, like teach me something new that like I didn't know before we talked. And like, let me hear someone else's opinion. You had a completely different perspective on why they liked or disliked something. So anyway, I know that's a tangent and I know that's not why y'all tune in, but I felt like it was important to like say that and just, you know, be clear about the intention of like why I go live and why I even make content in the first place and why we try and facilitate this conversation. It's so that we have one space to do it safely and to do it together. And snaps on that, perhaps.
Snaps for that.
Snaps to that. Snaps to all of you watching and everyone that tunes in. And your comments always make my day. Thank you for being so kind and so thoughtful. And for showing up and being here. And so many of you have been here since the Loki after parties and with the movie after parties. And so many of you want us to move on and talk about other things we have planned for this episode. So what do you say, Marissa? Do you want to move on to the amazing games we have planned for tonight?
I am so ready. I'm ready to celebrate people.
Are we ready to celebrate people? All right, let's do it. Alexis, this is your big surprise. Hopefully Alexis will tune in at some point tonight and we'll see that we're doing this. But let's like put on our party hats. Let's like get the music going. Like if I could play music right now, I would, but then the video would get taken down from YouTube. So like we can't. So instead...
Everybody on TikTok, please go to YouTube and Twitch and see the beautiful graphics Liz has made for this segment. It's incredible.
I texted Marissa and was like, things have gotten so much more chaotic than I had planned.
You said, I'm creating chaos.
I'm creating chaos. That was the bar I wanted to reach tonight. So this is what's happening. I'm going to just text Alexis very quickly and see if you have a moment to tune in on YouTube. Now is the time to do so. We'll see if Alexis can come see this. But we would like to say, on behalf of Stark Radio, on behalf of Missa Bobissa and producer Liz and our combined following, happy birthday to the iconic Alexis Blake Reads Comics, who typically joins us every week for this amazing show. I wanted to ask you, Marissa, about how you and Alexis became friends and how your relationship with Alexis started, and kind of, you know, I know that Alexis means a lot to a lot of people because she's really opened this door of access to comics and reading and feeling like it's a safe space for, particularly for women, to read the comics and to feel like there's a place where they can talk about just how much the comics mean to them. I know I haven't read the comics yet, but I still find safe space in Alexis's page and community. So maybe do you want to talk about how you met Alexis and how your relationship, your friendship started blossoming?
Yes. I used to see Alexis on my For You page all the time, and she always had a video about Bucky, about Alpine, about something, about the Winter Soldier. And it was like right at the start of Falcon and the Winter Soldier, really, where I saw her all the time.
Yes.
And I was intimidated by her because she talked about the comics and she had knowledge about the comics. And I was like, oh, I've never read the comics. That's not my thing. Like, I was just like getting back into the MCU really at the start of WandaVision. And I made a video. I think it was at some point during Falcon and the Winter Soldier, maybe afterwards, about what the serum did to Bucky. Mm-hmm. And I said, because there was this whole conversation about how it made John Walker a worse man and Steve Rogers a better man. What did it do to Bucky? And I was like, well, it made him more dramatic. It made him a drama queen. Like, it heightened his drama levels. And Alexis had already made a lovely video that I had seen about how, in reality, in the comics, the serum made Bucky more loyal, which I agree with and I believe 100%. But she then stitched my video and was like, this is hilarious. I totally agree with this perspective. And then I found out that she had already been following me. And I was like, God. What? You were like this mountain on high, this like expert.
Holier than thou expert. Yeah.
Like, you know who I am? Yeah. And then I just like,
you know, that's
fell in love with her.
Exactly. I hear you completely. And I love that. So after she stitched your video and you guys became mutuals, like, that was the point where you two like became, okay, like bestie mode activated. Like, we are friends. Like, this is it.
Yeah. I think it was after I'm going to expose myself. This is going to come out in the course of the evening. I'm like a fake Taylor Swift fan. Like,
off my show. Get out. You're not kidding. I'm totally.
You knew this.
I'm sorry. I probably just made your heart drop like a million degrees.
No, you're good. I just like fell off in the middle, basically. I was there for debut. I was there for Fearless. And then like Speak Now, I don't know. I wasn't there. Red, I was sort of there. 1989, I was 100% there for.
Yep, you came back.
And then I left again. Yep. And then I was like, no. Reputation, no. Lover, no.
Really?
And then I came back for Folklore. So there was part of Taylor's discography that I'm not familiar with. And at the end of Loki, there were a bunch of Loki getaway car edits.
Quickly, I have getaway car Loki merch. If you did not know, I'm plugging my own merch. Producer Liz merch.myshopify.com. Getaway car Loki's Virgin merch is available.
It's great. It might be one of my favorites of your
Thank you. I had to plug while the moment was there. Please continue.
So I made a video listening to Getaway Car for the very first time.
I remember that video. I loved it.
And Alexis like came out and was like, this is amazing. You need to do more of these. And then we just started like really talking in sincerity.
I love it. Alexis is a big Swiftie, and I only discovered this after we started doing the show together, which is I don't know how I missed it in like the things I knew about Alexis, but there was one night after, maybe it was episode 3 or episode 4, where we both had time to just keep talking after our live ended. And then like I have my folklore CD on the wall, and like she had her Evermore vinyl on the wall, and I was like, wait, hold on real quick. Are you a Swiftie? And she was like, yes. And I was like, okay, we have a lot to discuss then. No, I love that. And now we are going to indoctrinate you into the Taylor Swift fandom full time, which I like both apologize to you, and like I'm so thrilled for you that this is going to be happening, regardless of what you want. Unfortunately, by being friends with us, you will be exposed to much more Taylor Swift in your life.
No, it's good. My best friend is a diehard Swiftie.
Perfect.
I should be more familiar. I just, like I said, I was doing other things. I was listening to a lot of Les Mis.
Listen, I missed half of the 1989 era because of One Direction. Like, we are not gaslight, gatekeep, girl bossing the Taylor Swift fandom these days. That is such like 2016 energy. I'm not bringing it into this space. So you're welcome here for sure. I want to read a comment that we just got on YouTube from our friend Cly, who's here every week. Please follow. Lots of exciting stuff coming from them. Alexis was the first Marvel TikToker I followed because I had just finished going through the MCU, and she was one of the few who reliably captioned her videos. Through her, found you too. Heart right back to you.
Please caption your TikToks.
Caption your TikToks.
So easy. It's in the app.
I'm so frustrated.
Sorry.
No, don't. Say it loud and clear.
Accessibility
honestly.
rant.
No, it's so true. It's so easy to do, except when TikTok makes your captions not work.
Oh,
I have I have 3 tickets open right now trying to get TikTok to make my captions appear. I'm gonna end up re-uploading a bunch of videos that they just won't work on. But I digress. Caption your videos. I'm so glad that you found Alexis. And I think a lot of people go to Alexis because she makes her content so accessible in terms of captions, but accessible also in terms of how she's able to explain the comics and explain the history and the data and the research behind who these characters are in a greater context outside the MCU. And I think it's so fascinating to be able to learn. And I say learn, like she truly educates us.
Yes.
I am educated and a more profoundly knowledgeable MCU fan because of Alexis Blake reads comics.
Yes, I know so much more now than I did before I knew who she was.
Yep, absolutely. I completely agree with you.
And like every few videos she uploads, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get Marvel Unlimited. I'm gonna get Marvel Unlimited.
I'm gonna get Marvel Unlimited. Sponsor her for
sponsor Alexis.
Alexis is doing more for the comics than like most people that have many followers do.
I'm like one click to her Google Drive away from starting to read the comics.
Yes,
Alexis has beautifully curated lists of recommendations for you to find. If you go to the link in her bio, it's all there for you. She's made 1,000 videos.
So easy for you to find the characters that you want to read about in the comics. Yeah, and Tumblr found her recently too, and I know that you saw her blowing up on not her own Tumblr post, but someone who was linking to her to help educate other people about Bucky Barnes, I think it was.
Yeah, Tumblr's loving Alexis.
Which I love. Like, cheers. I love that.
Yeah. She's an educator. She
truly is.
She's an educator on all platforms.
She is a Bucky Barnes historian and educator to all. That's how I would describe her to a friend. Quickly, I wanted to share, I have no idea how Alexis and I became friends. I have no idea. I know I found her like pretty early on in her TikToking. Like maybe like around 1,000 followers, like when she was first starting to post about Bucky, and I remember she came up on my feed with this video that had like a couple tens of thousands of likes, and it was like, oh, like this is about Bucky and Alpine, and like Bucky had a cat, and I was like, I thought I knew everything about Bucky Barnes. Like Bucky had a cat, and I feel like that's how so many people found Alexis, with that video explaining Bucky and the cat. And since then, and like we joke about this every week, everyone goes to Alexis when animals are mentioned in the MCU. Like, Alexis, what about Bucky and fish? Like, Alexis, talk to me about this. And I love that Alexis has made that legacy. It's hilarious to me. And this reminds me, we have to go back to What If for a minute, because Marissa, you found our moment of the week.
Yes.
Please share.
As I was channeling Alexis today doing my rewatch, I was looking for the plumbing corner and I found it. It's a blink and you'll miss it moment.
Rocket, just quickly, the plumbing, what she's referring to is a couple episodes ago, I had a lot of questions about the logistics of Bucky's shower. And since then, plumbing has continually shown up in these What If episodes to haunt me. And Marissa's going to share the moment of the week that has come back to haunt me in terms of plumbing in the MCU. Please share.
I don't know that I would argue it's plumbing. It's more bathroom.
Absolutely it is.
Okay.
Absolutely it is.
It's blink and you'll miss it moment. The morning after the party in Vegas, Rocket the raccoon is asleep in the sink. And then Thor says there's a rabbit in the sink, The ongoing Rocket is a rabbit. So there's your plumbing corner of the week.
It must be a pretty I missed the moment, but I do question how big the sink is if Rocket the raccoon could fit in it, because he was a big raccoon.
He wasn't like curled up like full fetal position. He was like sprawled. Yeah.
He in Endgame when Bucky picks him up, like he's up to Bucky's knee. Like he's a big raccoon.
Yeah, he's like at least 3 feet.
He's big sink.
Yeah. The scale of this episode, the scale of everything.
Scale was all over the place. No sense of how giant or tiny people were.
Yeah.
Or Rocket the raccoon in this case. So I do thank you for finding the plumbing moment of the week. That's hilarious that yet another one came to shine. A comment on TikTok I'd like to address. Groot being the MVP of this episode, I would agree. I think that Groot had like a couple cute little moments in this episode. I think they flashed to him maybe once or twice, or maybe my memory is not serving me correctly, but I'm pretty sure Groot was around this episode.
I've watched it twice. I never noticed Groot.
No? I thought he was at one point.
I don't know.
I have to rewatch it.
I don't know.
Let us know. Plumbing corner is the best. Yeah, well, maybe next week's episode will once again come back to haunt me when it comes to What If. But I want to play a game. I want to talk about if Alexis, you're here. Alexis, no, you come to YouTube. Stop watching on TikTok. I'm not going to say it until you come to the YouTube. I want to see you off my TikTok live. I want to see you open. No, you're not too late. I know you're watching on TikTok.
No.
She's here, everyone. Come over to YouTube and you'll see the surprise. We are just getting started. You just missed us saying all kinds of nice things about you. You'll have to rewatch later. You have to come to YouTube. Come to YouTube. If you don't know how to get there, you go to my bio. You'll see the YouTube button. You'll go to my YouTube page. You'll see we're live on YouTube. Everyone get ready to comment happy birthday, Alexis, as many times as you can. The moment has finally come to play our game of the week. Before we launch into if Rogers the Musical was a Taylor Swift musical, we have a game. We've given it much thought. We are very excited to have this conversation tonight.
Yeah, we planned it about an hour ago.
It was very chaotic.
Big things happened.
Alexis hit 10K and we said, what are we going to do to celebrate? And this is what we landed on. If Alexis was in the MCU, who would she be? Now, I have some thoughts. I have some characteristics that I think she has displayed via the course of this show that would greatly serve the MCU in many capacities. But I wanted to ask you, does anything immediately come to mind in terms of Alexis that has direct MCU applicability?
I want her to be like the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, I just want her to be in charge. And I want I thought too. I want her to tell everyone that they made a bad choice. And that was a bad idea. That was impulsive and stupid.
You know when Fury calls and there's that joke in the Spider-Man series about like how you don't not answer a call from Nick Fury. I think Alexis would be even scarier to turn down a call from. I might say no to Nick Fury, but like if Alexis was calling, it'd be like ring one that I'd be picking up. I think takes no shit, kicks so much ass. Like we know Alexis could take down Thor. Fact. Oh yeah. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Alexis can quite literally take anyone down.
It would be the Ragnarok moment with the hammer and Hella, and she would just take it.
Absolutely.
Obviously.
Yeah. No, and I really like Hella does like this and then like the horns. I feel like Alexis has something like that. Like I feel like she's got some kind of like immediate characteristics of like if her hair's in a braid, maybe she like throws her braid over her shoulder and she's got like armor on head to toe, or like I don't know what it is, but there's something. She's got some kind of like wicked poser move to her that like makes her powers very relevant.
I'd like her to also be able to like summon weapons, like Loki and Hela.
Okay, what kind of weapon?
I don't know.
Honestly,
I've seen her do knife tricks, but I feel like is Alexis really
a big sword? Big sword.
Yeah.
My mind went big knife, and then like a big knife with a sword. So like, give Alexis a sword and have it like engraved with some kind of like let feminism save the day kind of like inscription on it, right? Like something to the effect of like, I know more than you do, and I shall take you down. Yeah, that's my take. We are having a birthday party for Alexis on YouTube. If you would like to come see Alpine wearing a birthday hat, you can come watch the YouTube stream. And we have some birthday festivities happening over here. But to continue the conversation, what would Alexis's plot be if she was in the MCU?
Oh,
like if we had a what if episode about Alexis Blakely's comics. Let's go with Alexis is like the director of S.H.I.E.L.D.
I feel like it would be like about her recruiting the Avengers, but she would get to pick which Avengers she wanted. It wouldn't necessarily be the OG 6 in the MCU. Right. It would be
first person she picks, first person that she finds is Alpine. 1,000%. Like okay, Alexis like first, let's get Alpine in the picture, and then who do you think recruit number 2 would be?
Natasha. Probably.
Listen, I'm wearing my Black Widow shirt in honor of Alexis today.
Yeah, I think she would still want Natasha and Clint.
Yeah, I think Alexis is watching, so feel free to confirm or deny, or we'll just keep assuming.
I don't know anything about Leverage, but I feel like she talks about those characters a lot. Maybe they could be Avengers.
We have some comments coming in. I want Alexis to become the man on the wall and have a bunch of fun space adventures. Alexis in space is like not an element that I thought of, but I think like Guardians of the Galaxy, but it's Alexis instead of Alexis is Star-Lord.
But she's like a good spy. Because Alexis has spy energy.
Absolutely. Another comment, I feel like her superpower would be super heightened intuition. Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah. The same way, like, when Steve's in the elevator in Captain America Winter Soldier and he sees like the hairs on the back of the neck and like that kind of thing. It's like that. Like Alexis does not miss. She doesn't miss with her sword, and she doesn't miss with like the details. Yeah. Be warned, she's coming. Maybe that could be the slogan of her movie. I don't know. We're giving you a whole marketing plan tonight for your birthday for how you'd fit in the MCU. I also think her nemesis would be someone like, Vision versus other Vision in WandaVision, and it's like a battle of the minds. But there's also like the physical component to those two fighting. I feel like her villain would be of a similar nature.
Yeah, it'd be some sort of psychological something.
She would outsmart them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. While also showing that she can kick ass and like will be able to,
she'd like kick ass on the way there.
Absolutely.
And then school them.
Yes. You couldn't have said it better. Absolutely. So Alexis, this is your what if you were in the MCU as written by the two of us and everybody watching. Still a better written episode than what Marvel has released, in my opinion. I think we've done a great job this evening. And I'm so excited for you to watch this back later and hear all the lovely things that were said about you tonight. Happy birthday to you. And also in Alexis's honor, we shall move on to what may be the main event of the evening. Last week, we talked about Rogers, the musical, and we are back for take 2. Last week, we did this very chaotic fan casting in which we discussed who would play the Marvel characters on Broadway or in an off-Broadway performance of Rogers the musical. And we didn't really talk about it in terms of what the plot would be or what the plot would offer these characters. We simply said, who would we like to embody the main undeniable characteristics of these people? But this week, we are talking about the plot, and we are taking it from the angle, which I'm very excited about. If Rogers the Musical only had Taylor Swift music, what music would represent the different moments of Steve Rogers' life? So, Marissa, I'm so glad you're here because you are an expert when it comes to musicals. You are our in-house correspondent when it comes to Rogers the Musical. So you're going to walk us through kind of some of these major moments in a musical that dictate the ebb and flow of the show and these numbers that are so critical to structuring a show. And I'm going to bring my Taylor Swift knowledge to match it to some iconic T-Swift music. And I invite everybody watching to also contribute which Taylor Swift songs you think best represent moments in Steve Rogers' life. And we're not just talking about the major moments, like when he gets the super soldier serum. No, we're talking like when he drops off Bucky in Wakanda. Yes. Which Taylor Swift song is he listening to by himself on the Quinjet home? Yeah. Right? Like we're talking when Steve Rogers kisses Natasha on the elevator, which Taylor Swift song is playing in his mind? The escalator, not the elevator. Someone will come for me in the comments for confusing the two. I'm excited. So, Marissa, where would you like to start?
Let's start at the top. The opening number. The opening number sets up the show, tells us sort of an introduction to the characters sometimes, gives us some background. I'm going to be throwing out some like examples of all of these numbers. Just
get us all on the same page.
Yeah, hopefully people are familiar with these. I've got a lot of examples from Wicked and Hamilton just because they like fit all the beats.
Right.
So like the opening number is sort of, if we think about a musical through like a general plot arc, like the opening number is our exposition. It's setting the scene for us, introducing us to everything. So we get something sort of like a Alexander Hamilton where it introduces us to all the characters and their relationships to the story. Or like a No One Mourns the Wicked, which would give us the backstory, like the moment before of what we're about to see. So it can be anywhere in there.
I love it.
Yeah.
So I had a thought about this earlier this week, which I will say you said was brilliant, I believe was the word you used. Did you say it was brilliant or did you say was very well thought out?
I don't know where this is going. I can't comment until I know what's happening.
So earlier this week, we were talking about how we were going to set this episode up for everybody watching. There's always a pre-show discussion in which we say, okay, what are we going to talk about this week? How is this going to go? And I, from like this very tired, winding down from the day state of mind where I was barely coherent, sent a video of me describing this idea. And I woke up hours later to comments from Marissa and Alexis going, oh my God, that was so good. And it took me forever to remember. I was like, what did I say? Like, what did I suggest? But the suggestion for the opening number, if you're looking on the screen on YouTube or Twitch, you can see we have some color blocks. These represent the different Taylor Swift albums. We will assume they are all Taylor's version for the sake of the conversation tonight.
Yes.
With the gray block representing, and I'm realizing these are in the wrong order, shame on me, the gray block representing Folklore and Evermore. However, I think the opening number does come from these places, from the Folklore Evermore section of the board.
Yeah.
And I think it's Coney Island. Yes. I think the opening number of Rogers the Musical is a forlorn Steve Rogers sitting on a bench by himself, facing the audience, with all of the characters we will meet throughout the play, walking behind him in the background as the lyrics apply. Mostly Bucky, I would say. Maybe Bucky singing from a different point of the stage, since it's a duet of a song. But that's my opinion on the opening number. What are your thoughts on that?
I love that. I agree that it should be, it's sort of like a reflection of how the story will go, of like, he's going to end up alone sitting on a bench, just so everyone knows.
And that is exactly what happens in Endgame. So we're really not stretching at all.
No.
So yeah, I think it makes sense. And you can interpret the lyrics however you'd like wondering where his baby went. Maybe he's thinking about the shield. Maybe he's thinking about passing the shield along to Mr. Sam Wilson. Maybe he's thinking about Bucky Barnes. Maybe he's thinking about
Bucky Barnes.
Peggy, but I would say not. I would say Bucky Barnes is the answer. I couldn't bring myself to say it. I was like, no, it couldn't be Peggy in that moment. But she would be a part of it for sure.
Yes, she has to be here. Yes,
she's
100%.
Absolutely, she's in this musical, and she is written very well, and she is given the feminist moment she deserves. I digress.
Yes, there will be women. The women will have songs.
And they will not be only about Steve Rogers. That's
exactly.
Sure. So our opening number will be Coney Island from the Folklore Evermore era. Love it. Where would you like to go next?
I think we should go to the I Want song.
Let's do it.
For people not familiar with the I Want song, this is sort of like the main character's goal throughout the story. It's like, this is my motivation. This is what I want to get from this journey that you're going to go on with me. So like if we're using Wicked as an analog, it would be The Wizard and I. Like the sort of like perfect example of an I Want song is Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid. It's very clear. This is what Ariel wants. This is what she's working towards. And everyone knows it. And we're going to watch her get it.
We're going to watch her get it. So what moment in Steve Rogers' life do you think matches a moment like this? Because I think there's a couple that it could be, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure. So which one comes to mind for you?
I think it could either be when he is recruited by Erskine.
Yeah.
Or like when he leaves the USO show to go rescue Bucky.
I thought the obvious answer was the first one that you said, right?
Yeah.
But then as I was thinking about this last night, I also came to the same thought that I think this whole play really revolves around Bucky Barnes.
I mean, we've had this conversation.
We have to dive all the way into it.
Steve's story is about Bucky. Like,
so we should go with when Steve leaves to go save Bucky. And specifically like I imagine like the really corny moments on stage when like someone's running and like the background changes.
Yeah.
That's like him going to find Bucky, right? Like he's like, I'm going to go save him. I'm not going to be a propaganda pawn, like, all that thinking.
I mean, we obviously have the moment where he gets the serum, but I don't think that is as pivotal to the story we are telling, I guess.
Not the Stucky story.
Yeah.
Not the Stucky specific
story. Do we
story.
want to talk about the song we would give to him getting the serum? Because, I mean, it can happen before the I Want song.
Yes. So I think that moment is like really interesting, right? Because there's kind of like, it's to Steve Rogers in that moment. You have the Steve pre-serum, and then he's getting the serum, and he's like, no, I can handle it. And then there's like the post-serum Steve that like emerges. So you're kind of looking for a Taylor Swift song that has growth to it, I would suppose. Right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I know everything in the Taylor Swift discography, but for the purposes of nailing it, I do have my Spotify open and I am looking through the albums so I do not miss. To me, the era that gives that energy are the earlier albums where there was a lot of storytelling happening, right? Like I'm thinking Speak Now, which was very much, I am writing this album by myself. I am telling the stories I want to tell about my own life. I'm not going to like stunt my growth or be what anyone else wants me to be. I'm going to do and say what I want. So I think we're looking at the purple box on screen. Yes. And I'm just looking through the album to make sure I nail it because I have a couple thoughts from this album that are interesting. It could be a song like And it's funny because I think the tone of the song is totally wrong for the moment, but I think about Enchanted, right? And the build of that song is so epic. And the ending of that song really does feel like this was the biggest moment of her life, right? Versus the beginning of the song is kind of meek and small and like, oh, like this is happening. Is it really happening? By the end, you're like, oh, it's happened. And it's like the best thing to ever happen. So
I'm nodding like I know Enchanted really well.
If you know Enchanted really well, let me know if y'all agree with me here. I'm going to I'm just going to copy and paste a box here.
I'm going to talk to my TikTok for a second.
Absolutely.
Yes, we are talking about Taylor Swift. We're talking about Rogers the Musical and assigning Taylor Swift songs to the plot. What we decided is the plot of Rogers the Musical. So you can watch us here on TikTok, or you can go to the link in my bio to see us on YouTube and all of the beautiful graphics that Liz has made. So and we would love to hear your suggestions. We'd love to hear from
you. I'm loving a comment from Shadow Warlock on my TikTok. I don't want to get pronouns wrong here. I'm very sorry if that was not correct. So Shadow Warlock is saying Taylor Swift predicted Endgame, and I completely agree. Thank you for confirming. I really wanted to make sure that was correct. Taylor Swift absolutely predicted Endgame, and I think that I need to do an entire video around just how much I believe that theory, because a lot of people think that I'm joking about it.
Oh no,
I have an entire conspiracy around this. I don't think now is the moment to really dive into it, but I'm very glad that you commented that because it made me very happy. Perhaps next week we'll dive into why I think that. As we were chatting here, I did think of another song that I think probably in terms of narrative better fits that moment. I think Long Live, which includes lyrics at the beginning like, remember this moment in the back of my mind. And it's about like, don't forget me. Like, we're doing this to help others. We're doing this for everyone in the crowd. I had the time of my life serving you and doing this for you. That is big serum energy, right? Like, Steve is not thinking about himself in that moment. He's thinking about everyone else that this moment's going to serve.
Yeah, I'm looking up the lyrics right now.
We love it. I could sing it to you. It could also be karaoke. And then YouTube would be like a copyright claim. Absolutely not. But we'll allow it because you can't sing.
Oh, I like this. This is good.
So in terms of like the build, I think Enchanted's a really good fit, right? But in terms of the song's lyrics, Long Live is the choice for Steve Rogers, the musical. Serum moment.
Yeah.
So...
Okay, then we have
and if you're watching and you have thoughts about which Taylor Swift songs you would put in Rogers the Musical, please comment and let us know. Otherwise, I'm going to continue giving my theories as we go.
Yes.
So back to the I Want song.
Yes.
Remind us again, what kind of tone are we looking for here?
Okay. The I Want song is it's establishing the character's main motivation. So we decided that is Bucky. So
we have to look at Lover. The album Lover. It has to be Lover.
Yeah.
Obviously. So I think that there's many choices here, right? And we're specifically looking at the moment where Steve makes the decision to go to Bucky, right?
Yeah.
So to me, making the decision that like, this is what I want. There's a song on Lover. It's the last song on the album called Daylight, right? And it's a song about many things, of which, I'm seeing Daylight now because like we are together and we've made this work, and I've decided that like this is the lane that I want to be in and where I want to go. And it's a very like, it's a song about clarity and a song about I can see it all now. I can see you and me and everything that we've been through and where we are now. It could also be a great song for the end when you're talking about Steve and Bucky, like at the end of the storyline. However, Steve ruined the end of the storyline. So therefore the song does not work in that capacity to me.
Yeah.
So perhaps this is the moment for Daylight. Okay. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I feel good about that.
Are you looking up the lyrics?
I did look up the lyrics, yes.
The lyrics are not like a great match. Like we really nailed the Coney Island number.
Yes.
And it's very hard to match
that was like that was my number one. I was like, oh, I think we could do this Coney Island. And then nothing else.
Yeah, and then that was the only idea that we absolutely nailed.
Okay, there's a lyric that says back and forth from New York, sneaking in your bed. I once believed love would be burning red. So I'm convinced.
Yeah, this is when Steve is realizing like just how much like he would rather, fight the fight he wants and fight it along the people that he wants to fight with. So
yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Okay. Rising action. What point of the plot are we looking at now?
Right. This is like we're building towards something. So I think we have to should we decide what we're building towards? Because like between the I Want song and like the Act 1 finale, ideally we're building towards something that's going to make the like would the Act 1 finale be Steve waking up? Would it be Battle of New York? Would it
I think
what is that point that we're working towards?
The point that we're working towards is Steve waking up, right? Because the second half has to be, a lot of things. I don't know if we're going to get all the way to Endgame here, but I think certainly we're still in the before of establishing Steve as Captain America.
Yeah.
So to me, the rising action is unfortunately when the opposite of rising happens and Bucky falls.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
It's a sad moment.
Well, yeah, but it unfortunately moves the plot forward a lot.
And moves Bucky quite a bit as well. So let's talk about that moment when Bucky falls, and it's horrible. I want to think about like moments in musicals that have that same level of drama.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any good examples of rising action that we can consider when we think about what Taylor Swift song might fit Bucky in that moment?
Yeah. I think a lot of like death happens off stage usually, but I think like this is a moment that should happen on stage. I think like the train and the fall should be seen, and it's not like, just the moment after.
And it's really like not about Bucky falling so much as time stopping and Steve being like,
exactly.
Okay, like this is like the end of something that I thought was going to last forever.
Yeah.
Right? So it has to be a song that really like stops time.
Yeah. I mean, there's
do you know the song Hoax off of Folklore?
I know it. Like
if you look at the lyrics, it's a very sad song. This song is
I know it's piano because I don't listen to it.
Because you don't listen to it. See, I love the sad songs. So to me, that's a song that like time really stops. It's just piano and vocal and a little bit of harmony, and it's like I am paralyzed. Like this is, and she's thinking about New York, and she's thinking about everything she went through in New York, and she left part of herself there to be where she is now, and was it really worth it?
I think this is perfect, reading the lyrics. Yeah. And I think that works really well.
Mm-hmm. And where the moment itself is so dramatic, having a song that's like dramatic in a different way to contrast the violence, I think is like really fascinating.
Yeah. So I like that. It's still,
yes. I love that. So Rising Action is the saddest song, Hoax. Now we are missing like a big number. Like I'm thinking like tap dancing, and I'm thinking like, something fun and something to bring us out of like the sadness of Captain America Winter Soldier. I'm thinking like Peggy deserves a super fantastic performance and like a real show-stopping way to break it all up.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
I feel like my gut was telling me like The Man. Like, it's about her being the only woman in the field.
Yep.
Like,
I'm going to call it Peggy's number.
That's great. I mean, Rising Action is usually not just one song. It's it's like, it's everything between like The Wizard and I and Defying Gravity in Wicked.
Yes.
Like, it's all building to that end of the act.
I'm just clarifying which moment is which so people know. All right. I love the idea of Peggy having a whole like number surrounding like tap dancers and all women on stage and talking about like the misogyny of the time. I think that's hilarious and so needed in a musical about Steve Rogers and Bucky Barnes.
Yeah.
It's like a good statement to make. And I also love the idea of like, if you look at like the music videos Taylor Swift did during the Lover era, like they're very colorful. They're very like monochromatic looks, like everyone in yellow and pink jumpsuits, right? And I love the idea of a stage filled with women where everyone's wearing like this super kind of pop of color look based in like the outfits they would have worn in that era. I think that like that'd be so aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, Lover was a very theatrical era. I think it's
perfect for a theatrical Peggy.
Yeah,
we love it. It's perfect. Let's talk about Act 1 finale. What moment did we say was the finale? The moment that we're working towards?
Steve waking up.
Waking up. Oh, wait. Before we talk about Steve waking up, we have to talk about Steve going into the ice.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I feel like this is a song that he and Peggy sing back and forth to each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, fitting one. With what happens in the movie. Right?
Absolutely. So, honestly, do you know where I think we might be going with this one? I regret to inform everyone, I think we have to look at Taylor Swift's debut, right?
Oh, I love debut. Why do we have to regret that?
Because I think that Taylor's songwriting in debut is like, she was a teenager. It was a little, but I think like we have some really interesting storytelling that happens in this album. And I think, you have songs like Cold As You. And he's going into the ice. So perhaps there's something there. But I think that the better song choice for Steve and Peggy in this moment would be a song like, hold on, I lost it here, Mary's Song. Right? Where they're talking about like the life, like, it's a song about life and like all the memories that were made and like a love to last forever. But in the context of the musical, they're talking about like this life they should have built together.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love that.
Enough to make me cry right here on live.
And like, Steve would go into the ice and stop singing, and then Peggy would keep singing, like finish the verse.
Oh, like she would do the last "Oh my" by herself. Oh, that's so sad. That's so sad, y'all.
But he's about to come out of the ice. There's going to be a big number. It's going to be fine.
Oh, but that's so sad. Like, we're going to need like a long interlude.
Yeah.
Like a long interlude to get me over that. Oh, man. Oh, that's horrible. But I love it. This is so good. Like, I love this in terms of a musical. I hate this in terms of the pain it's causing me, but it's great. For those of you tuning in on TikTok, if you don't know what's going on, we're live on YouTube and Twitch right now, and we're talking about... A bunch of people just joined me and are like, what is she crying about? We are talking about Rogers the musical and which Taylor Swift songs we think fit the action of Steve Rogers' life. And we're making a little matrix with all the moments and where they fit and the songs we think apply. It's very fun if you're a Taylor Swift fan. And I think we have a lot of room to go here. So we're finally at Act 1 finale when Steve's waking up. I think there's an obvious answer to this one. But first, why don't you tell us about the Act 1 finale and about, what it means in the context of a musical?
Okay. The Act 1 finale, we always want to end sort of on a cliffhanger. We want to leave the audience excited for Act 2, but we also sort of want to round out the story so far, to like remind everyone of what's happened to this point, but also like leave on a high. Like we think of like Nonstop in Hamilton, that's the Act 1 finale, and like so much happens in that number. We catch up with every character and we see where they've gotten to and where they're going to go from here, and like we are reminded of their motivations. Like that's like a big group number Act 1 finale. But then we could also do like a Defying Gravity Act 1 finale, which is more like an emotional climax of an internal battle within a character of like making a choice of like, this is where I go from here. And I think like the way we're going with Steve waking up, it's more of a, oh, I know what you're gonna say.
What am I gonna say?
Are you gonna say welcome to New York?
Yes, I'm gonna say welcome to New York.
No, because that's literally where I was going as I was talking. I was like,
Perfect.
It's like a welcome to New York moment. Nope, that's it. We did it.
That's it. We did it. Listen, you earned a Swiftie title by getting on the same page as me for this one. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Imagine, like, we see in the movie the chaos that Steve Rogers walks into, right? Like, he wakes up in New York City, and he, of all the places, like, why didn't they put him in the outskirts of New York State? Like, why did they set this man up directly in front of Times Square? In broad daylight. Like, they couldn't have moved the lab like somewhere remote where he could slowly integrate back to society. Like, no, they said, Steve, let's put the lab hosting Steve Rogers in the middle of Times Square full of pedestrians he could potentially harm, in buildings he could potentially like run through.
I know. They played a baseball game from before the war even started. Mm-hmm. The flats that they have are like tan. They're not even, they're like sepia toned filters of pictures. They're not even like
proper. Like, they could have done so much better.
I know.
Yeah.
But then he leaves and like breaks everything, and it's chaos.
Chaos. Absolutely. Yep.
So I think it's very
And he finds himself welcomed to New York in that moment. Absolutely. Yeah. And I imagine like a chorus of people singing this song in such an intimidating, loud, vibrant way, to the point where it's almost like flashing neon lights, and like every time the lights flash, you see people are actually wearing like clown makeup or something. Like, it's gotta be like enough to scare him like he's in a nightmare. And I think Welcome to New York is perfect for that, because it is such an intimidating pop song. It's the lead of Taylor Swift changing her entire sound, right? Like, she really said, I'm going 1,000% pop, undeniably so. Do I have a surprise for everybody watching?
I'm stressed.
Oh my God,
I'm
Lord.
Stressed.
Everyone sing with me. Well, we're not going to sing, absolutely not, but we can like just say very nicely, happy birthday to Alexis. She's here.
She's here.
Every time somebody says happy birthday to me, I go in, I instinctively, I'm like, happy birthday. So happy birthday to you too.
Thanks.
Thank you. It's not for 3 weeks, but that's fine.
Your birthday's in 3 weeks?
October 13th.
We've got to start planning.
We're going to do Marissa in the MC. Okay, we're going to do what we did tonight, but for you in 3 weeks. I have to remember this. Everybody hold me accountable to it.
I love that.
Very quickly, I need some live commentary from you, Alexis, about what we created, because we really created something for you today. And I don't know if you saw
Alpine. Hi,
wearing
buddy.
a birthday hat.
I couldn't see him. I was driving when I was listening to you talk about me in the MCU. So like, I was like, I know Alpine's there somewhere, but like, so is traffic.
Well, I'm glad you were watching that. And if you're watching on TikTok, Alexis just joined us on YouTube and Twitch. So come over to YouTube and Twitch and hear Alexis talk with us live about all of what we're discussing tonight. Yes, it's your birthday, and we themed this episode a little bit around you, which is excellent. Is there anything you want to share with the viewers about how you're doing, and maybe we can toast to a fresh year, a fresh start for Alexis Blake Reads Comics, hitting
our
10K.
Water.
Yeah. Hey.
Cheers. And big shout out to Danielle, who posted a video about
really blew
following and saying happy birthday to you in that video. I think when I checked, it had 700 likes on it, I think. And it really worked. So shout out to Danielle, who really led the train of getting folks to find Alexis Blake Reads Comics. And if you're watching and you're not following Alexis Blake Reads Comics, come join the 10K community. It's such a thrill. And to people asking,
you're part of the club.
I know, finally.
It's such a well-deserved moment. For everybody watching, wondering how to get to YouTube, go to my profile, and there's a YouTube button in my profile, and you click on that, and you'll come directly to this live. You'll see it on your screen. You can see Alexis, you can hear all three of us talking, and you can see what we're talking about with the graphics that we have. So it's super easy. Come to YouTube, Stark Radio Show. We're also on Twitch, and I'm seeing people following on Twitch, so thank you for following and watching with us there as well. And keep the comments coming as the night goes on. We see y'all. Hey to Ashatosh2102. I hope I said that right. Thanks for joining us, and thanks to everyone watching on TikTok as well. So Alexis, back to you. What do you want to say? What are your thoughts? How are you doing on this fine evening?
I'm doing good. It was a good birthday. I was kind of dreading this birthday, but it turned out to be good. So that was great.
There you go.
Yeah, I've got the best friends in the whole world. So
hooray! And I hope you mean us and everybody watching. We are your best friends too. I'm kidding. I'm so glad that you had a great day. It's so iconic. We love that for you. Would you like to join our game that we are playing? Not casting, but talking about the music of Rogers, the musical.
I think we've done a great job so far.
Oh, there's another graphic. I swear, Liz, you just like churned those out.
You did.
We had the countdown. Marissa and I had the countdown going on our screen of how many minutes we got. And I said, Marissa, read me off what we need. And we made it happen.
I love it.
We made it happen. So what we're doing, if you're just tuning in, if you're new here, we're talking about Rogers the musical. We're talking about the plot points of Steve Rogers' life that would be great in a staged show. And to indulge me and in honor of Alexis and I being major Taylor Swift fans, we are talking about which Taylor Swift songs would fit in the context of Steve Rogers' life. That's what you missed on Glee so far. So we've made it
previously on Glee.
So we've made it all the way through the first act of the musical. And we've really hit a lot of notes, including a Peggy number to The Man.
Oh, okay. I missed the Peggy number. I heard the Welcome to New York, and I was like screaming at you all. So I just ran up the stairs because I didn't think we were going to get to Welcome to New York. And I'm like, it's Welcome to New York! I'm running. But you all got this. It's fine. I had faith. I knew.
Alexis was like, I need to join this live to make sure they don't miss.
It's Welcome to New York! This is the one I feel passionately about. But no, speak to
it. Speak to it. Why do you feel so passionately about it?
Well, because it's just so perfect. And it's a good, like, this is what the world is like song, right? Mm-hmm. And I think for Steve Rogers in that moment, it's a good, like, this is what the world is like now song. Mm-hmm. Plus, like, not that it's abrasive, but it is a little like
it's
bright and poppy and like loud, right? And that's kind of what New York feels like to him since he just walked out of like a community theater version of the 40s. So like, like I don't know what that was, Shield, but like whatever.
Nick Fury said no budget.
Yeah, like this. Everybody always tells me like, well, it was supposed to test his cognitive ability, and I'm like,
right.
Did they assume he was stupid? I mean, that's like the worst, like anybody could see. Like, what was that? Like, there's testing his cognitive ability. And then there's just like, we assume that you're going to be like as dumb as a rock.
Exactly.
Anyway, welcome to, but The Man is a fantastic choice for Peggy. I wouldn't have thought of that.
And putting like a chorus full of just women on stage in like those beautiful, as Marissa said, theatrical looking outfits from the Lover era.
Okay, yeah.
And it's all about like what was happening to women during this point in time and like not erasing their stories and how like they deserved better.
Preach.
Amen. So that's where we ended with Act 1. Okay. We, a lot of heartache, a horrible perfect choice for Steve going into the ice. We've really tugged the heartstrings with Act 1, and now it's time to talk about Act 2. And I think we have to decide where are we ending this play.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that happens after Captain America Winter Soldier. You could argue all of the MCU unfolds after it canonically. In terms of a timeline. So how far do we want to go in terms of talking about Steve Rogers, the musical? I think we have to talk about Bucky in Wakanda. That is a moment I feel very strongly about.
I think we have to go through at least Civil War.
Yes, let's do it. So let's say Act 2 picks up years later. Maybe at the point we skip all of the plot until, because remember, we're basing this in the Bucky Steve narrative, right? So we can skip a little bit of Avengers, we can skip a little bit of Steve Rogers and go directly to the fight where they're trying to take down this ambiguous Winter Soldier figure, and we find out it's Bucky Barnes, and their eyes meet, and we
Who
get
the
that
hell is Bucky?
Who
Who the hell is Bucky?
And we all cry once
Yes.
again. And I
Yes.
feel like this is our Act 2 opening. It's like we have like some big drama and narrative around like, oh, it's this many years later. Like, oh my God, we gotta find the Winter Soldier. Like, blah, blah, blah. There's a little bit of like setting the tone and like the beautiful Lin-Manuel Miranda style, like talking that happens. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Until we get to like that precise moment of who the hell is Bucky? And then maybe a song starts. What do we think?
Like the moment when Steve sinks down and he starts crying. That I hate and love so much.
What's going through his mind? What's that man thinking? We need a song for this moment. And I think we could think of it in terms of a duet. We could think about Bucky, and we could think about Bucky trying to figure out what's going on. Like, I think I remember this guy, and Steve being like, of course you remember me. Are you kidding me? Like, I love you a lot. And then Bucky being like, I'm trying to remember who you are. So what are we singing in that moment? What vibe are we leaning towards in this moment? It's a tough one, but it's a doable one. I have a pick.
Okay,
I'm glad.
just speak your truth because
I'm going to speak my truth.
Okay.
We are going to Fearless Taylor's version. There is a vault song, a very sad vault song called Don't You. And it's a song about like why, oh my God, I think AGBO is watching my TikTok stream. Hi, friends. The Russo Brothers TikTok is here.
We're about to really complain about a lot of your decisions.
I know. I was like, okay.
We're live on Twitch. We're live on YouTube. And we are hanging out talking about the What If series. And specifically, we're talking about Rogers the Musical right now, which is a very fun conversation regarding the crossover between MCU and Taylor Swift. So please enjoy our take. And if you can't hear, there is a third person with us. Alexis Blake reads comics, and you can hear her commentary if you're watching on YouTube and Twitch. But thanks for tuning in and saying hi. So back to the conversation. We're talking about the moment when Steve and Bucky in Captain America Winter Soldier see each other, and you know, all this drama is unfolding, and there's this Taylor Swift song called Don't You, where she's talking about like, don't you see what I see in this moment? Like, why can't you see what I see? Like, there's so much here for us to unpack, but like, you don't see it. And I think that so perfectly speaks to like Steve being like, excuse me, we have all this context and history. Like, where are you at, Bucky? And I think it fits.
I'm reading the lyrics right now.
Read them loud for all of us to hear if you'd like.
Okay.
It's a lot of her saying, don't you?
Yeah, it is. I feel like this could like go from the bridge scene to the Lumerian star, whatever that part is.
Okay.
Good. You did
Well,
good.
Like from the bridge to the final battle, because like there's a lyric where she's like, sometimes I really wish I could hate you. I've tried, but that's just something I can't do. My heart knows what the truth is. I swore I wouldn't do this. That feels very much like what Steve is saying in the final battle to Bucky of like, don't make me do this, Buck. People are going to die.
I also wonder if we couldn't drop like a tiny bit of breathe in there so that we can come back to it later when he's pulling him out of the water, when Bucky's pulling Steve out of the water. Me? Like this whole, like, I can't breathe without you, but I have to. Like, it would be cool to like drop pieces of that somewhere, like in some other song, so we can like circle back.
That is incredible. Like, just like there's that in the song "Breathe." There's like a guitar riff that's like very notable. And I feel like if you're in the Taylor Swift fandom, you hear that like do 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 do, like that guitar thing, and you're just immediately the light switch turns on and off in your mind of, oh, now we're sad. We're in sad girl hours over here. Can't breathe without you. And I feel like tinkering that through Act 2, magical. sad. We've made this a sad musical, but it is a sad
I
story,
want it to be
isn't it?
sad.
We want it to be sad.
I want it to be sad. I want it to be true, which is sad.
Yes. Very accurate. Very true. Very quickly, I've realized we have many happy birthday messages coming through for Miss Alexis. And I want to make sure you see these. Happy birthday, Alexis. And a lot of folks saying that they're so happy to be tuning in. I'm just glad y'all made the show. Welcome back. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And we're glad to all be here talking about our MCU Taylor Swift crossover this evening. A lot of people watching, some guests watching on TikTok, which is very fun. So sorry, I digressed from the conversation for a moment, but let's circle back. We want to add Breathe to this. So do we want to replace Don't You with Breathe? Do we want to add it to its own like Act 2 rising action perhaps? Or
yeah, we're gonna need some rising action again.
Yeah.
For Act 2.
Okay.
I think like I don't know. Like, could we do like a mashup of like Don't You Breathe, Don't You Breathe?
Yeah.
Like
layer it in there.
Yeah.
Because I think Don't You is more perfect for like the moment that you're talking about, but I think Breathe is more impactful later, like if you've mashed it into places.
Yep. I love that. We love a collaborative moment. And both of those songs mesh so beautifully together, and they're from the same era.
They're like sister songs.
Sister songs.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like if we think about it in that capacity, like a lot of these moments we've been talking about could also be collaborations, like taking the drama of the song Enchanted and matching it to the lyrics of Long Live. Like that's the Sierra moment come alive, you know? But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about the 11 o'clock number, because we have not discussed anything regarding this. And I know this is like a big one that we got it. The whole show falls apart, I think, if we don't nail what the 11 o'clock number is going to be. So Marissa, please walk everyone through so we're all aligned. What is this moment?
Okay. The 11 o'clock number is the like seminal moment in your show where like your character has reached an emotional climax. They have made their final decision. They know how their story is going to end. Or they've just had something completely devastating happen and like they have to pick themselves up and figure out how to move on from it. It's like usually one or two songs to the end of the show. It's named the 11 o'clock number because shows used to start at 8:30 and the 11 o'clock number would hit at about 11 o'clock at night. But shows start a lot earlier now, so it's like a 10 o'clock number now. But like some examples of an 11 o'clock number are like No Good Deed, where Alphaba is like, yes, I am gonna be the evil, wicked witch you say I am, and like makes her decision of how the rest of her story is gonna go. Or Hurricane, that's an 11 o'clock number in Hamilton. There's a bunch of other like classic examples like Rose's Turn, blah, blah, blah. But it's basically like the pivotal moment. Like there's been the Act 1 like peak, but like this is the point where like it's about to go down. So I feel like if we're working to end at the end of Civil War, it would be like it would either be like Steve deciding not to sign the Accords or the actual airport battle.
Alexis, do you have a thought on what moment you'd like to pick? It is your birthday, so we can just defer to whatever moment you think is the appropriate one.
I find the 11 o'clock number really intimidating. So my hope was that Marissa had it figured out, and I could just be like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Someone asked us to clarify what it is we're talking about. So let me clarify here. We're talking about Rogers the Musical. Last week, we talked about some casting choices that we would pick for a real-life Rogers the Musical. This week, we're talking about it in terms of Taylor Swift songs and which Taylor Swift songs we think fit in the story of Steve Rogers' life. So I agree with the options you've presented. I think that there's a specific moment in the airport battle that we can really blow up the drama around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it has to be like a single decision, like a single moment that we like make impactful.
So
also, Justin, Freddie's roommate, says we are never getting back together for Civil War, which I think is hilarious. I don't know where it fits, but
I always think of that and Bad Blood.
Matt, I have it. Okay.
What if like no.
I need everyone to visualize with me. Everyone, stop what you're doing.
Okay.
Everyone, close your eyes. We're all going to visualize this together. Okay. Okay. Everybody knows the moment in Civil War. Obviously, when the teams are walking towards each other, and they're standing in that single file line on either side, right? And imagine at that moment, one side starts singing Bad Blood, and one side starts singing We Are Never Getting Back Together.
Oh, that's good.
And really it's a literal standoff. And at the chorus, they start to fight.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's really good. I don't think that's like the 11 o'clock number. I think that's like the number right before the 11 o'clock number. But I love it.
Please know that I'm comparing the like Never Getting Back Together Bad Blood mashup in my head to Hurricane. And those would be very different vibes.
No, it's like
Alexis is saying if you can't hear her, it's a very, very different vibe. Sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. I was trying to fill in TikTok that could not hear that iconic comment.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Sorry, please go, Melissa. No. I just want people to know Alexis is saying that comparing We Are Never Getting Back Together / Bad Blood to Hurricane is not exactly the same number in a musical.
Not the same vibe.
Not the same vibe.
I think it would be like the 10 Dual Commandments reprise
before Hurricane.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in like red / 1989 era. So I'm going to put this in the red blocks. That's your era? Is that what you just said?
Yes.
Are you a red stan?
I'm a red stan, yeah. I love red.
Every day
I just want to type rising stand, but it's not. I'm rising action, act 2, standoff in Civil War. And it's sorry, go ahead, Marissa. Now I know what I'm typing here.
Oh no, every day I'm waiting for 1989. Every day.
It's true.
I also love 1989, but I'm
excited for red, but it's so far away. Just give us 1989.
Oh, hello.
I agree. Oh, do we have a cat joining us?
We have a cat joining.
We have a cat joining us. Woohoo. We love a cat moment. No, I think that's iconic. And I love the idea of like everyone sings a different line, right? Like the moment when like Peter's got like Cap shield, he's singing like you called me up again last night or like something like that. And then like Steve like takes it back and he's like, but this time, like, you know, very dramatic. I think that's I
feel like because like the thing in Civil War, right, is that like Clint and Nat are stupidly not really what did you do? Are like stupidly not really opposed to each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
That whole don't get me started. But like I think it would be interesting if they like switch. So like if one is singing one line and then they switch and sing the opposite person's songs and then switch back.
There's a lot that could be done. I love it. I think that's I really need to like now sit down and script that out like moment for moment in my mind. Next week. Next week we'll take 2 hours and script that battle out moment for moment.
I love that we have issues with what if became we're just going to cast a whole bunch of stuff for 4 hours.
Literally. I was not going to let the show only be calling out problematic writing. We turned this into the feminist moment we all needed it to be.
Yeah. This is more fun.
It's much more fun.
I agree. Both is great. Both are worthy of time and airtime and conversation. Okay. The 11 o'clock number. We're past the airport battle. Mm-hmm. Single decision, big moment.
Mm-hmm. Oh. I guess then that has to be after Tony watches Bucky kill his parents. It has to be Steve deciding he's going to fight Tony for Bucky.
Yep. So this.
Sorry, it was just the way you said it. It was like, damn it, that's deep, Marissa.
That's what happened.
It was so dramatic.
I just ate a bunch of cake and like.
I felt like the air got thick and the night came and it was like.
I was
like a single spotlight, like, well, then it has to be. Damn it. Okay.
Oh, we got so serious so quick. I love it. Oh my God. I have a song, I think.
Okay.
I have two songs, and I don't know which. Well, okay, no, really, it's the Reputation era. Like, this is big Reputation energy, and there's a couple or many songs from Reputation that start small, and the song begins, and you're like, oh no, I have no idea what's about to happen. And it's very haunting, and it's like you're just waiting for everything to drop. And then you get to the chorus, and it's like this huge moment, right? I feel like that matches when Tony is like watching the video, and it's like, oh my God, how is he going to react to this? And he kind of looks up, and his eye starts twitching, right? And he's like, oh, and you're like, it's like the Jaws theme song is playing in your mind, and you're like, oh no, like, what is he about to do? So I have a few suggestions of a Taylor Swift song that matches that energy. We could go with something like Ready for It, where it's like that big, like, boom, boom, boom kind of intro. And it's like, oh, something's about to go down. Are you ready for it? But I don't think the lyrics really match. So I'd move on from that. And I would look at something like Look What You Made Me Do, where it's like, it's a calculated song. Like, I don't like your little games. I don't like what you've done. And then you have that big, like, look what you made me do, like, crazy choreo moment. But I think that there's a song that fits all of this in one number, and it really justifies Tony's anger in that moment. And I think it's I Did Something Bad. Mm-hmm. And the opening line is the most Tony Stark lyric that's ever been written. I never trust a narcissist, but they love me. Ooh. Yeah, say it louder, Alexis. I don't think I really gave you the microphone you deserved.
If you want to hear Alexis sing, please go over to YouTube. The link is in my bio.
If 5 people subscribe on Twitch right now, Alexis
she will not. She's a terrible singer. I'm awful at it. I just feel like the I did something bad, then why does it feel so good is also very Tony Stark.
Yeah. Absolutely. And the bridge of that song is terrifying.
Yeah.
Because it's really like, you know what? I know I'm off the deep end. I know I'm unhinged. And who cares? I don't care. I'm going for it anyway.
I like this. So are we giving this to Tony?
Yes, this is like Tony's villain.
Yeah, I like this.
Tony, unhinged. Is that like unhinged end of Civil War? Like, is that accurate? Maybe we'll try that. And it's I did something bad, and it also works as like Bucky knows he did something bad. Bucky's like, I did something bad. Very aware. Steve is like, I'm doing something bad. I might kill Tony Stark. Like,
yeah,
for Bucky.
Yeah. In line with the rest of this musical where Steve's doing everything for Bucky.
Yeah.
Wow. So we set the stakes. We said if the 11 o'clock number doesn't work, the whole musical falls apart. Do you think this accomplishes that?
I think if we're like working on the Bucky and Steve arc, then it does. Yeah.
Alexis, 100%. What do you think?
I do. I think it fits. And I think it is also the exact same song as Hurricane. So it totally works in that aspect as well.
Better than Breathe. Better than.
But no, I really think it works there. I think it's perfect. And I like the idea of that turning point being on Tony. I think that kind of fits with the.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not like Steve makes a big decision. It's Tony that changes
really,
in
like,
that moment.
Tony is the threat to Bucky there too. So,
Yeah.
like, yeah, I like that.
So in our last few minutes of this live, I want to just encourage everyone on TikTok one more time. You can see the project that we're doing. We are talking about Rogers the Musical on YouTube and Twitch. We have graphics up. We're talking about it in the context of Taylor Swift. And Alexis Blake Reads Comics is with us, and you can hear her on YouTube and Twitch right now. So in the last few minutes, come see what we've been working on. Come hear Alexis's amazing thoughts on her birthday. And it makes your thoughts even more worth hearing. It's your birthday. People must hear the birthday girls speak. And let's talk about our finale number. Marissa, can you walk us through what makes a finale soar? A standing ovation, tears in my eyes finale.
Yes. I mean, ideally, the finale wants to wrap everything in a bow, but that's not always the case. I mean, we want to see how our characters have grown through the show. If we look at like the finale of Hamilton, of Who Lives, Who Dies, Who Tells Your Story, we see how the characters change after like the story of Hamilton ends, and we also see how the story has affected them. To that point. And it can be bittersweet. It can be like, wow, this was something really hard that we just went through, but we did it. Like the finale of Wicked is heartbreaking. It's the No One Mourns the Wicked reprise, where we see that the story that Glinda has shown us of Elphaba was actually part of her story the whole time, and like she's putting on this brave face and all of this sort of stuff. So we want to like leave the audience with, this is the end, but there will be more. Like, and you want to make the audience feel like, okay, that's a satisfying ending, but it's not necessarily like a happily ever after.
Pick me.
Yes.
Pick me. I have a song. Surprising to no one. First, I'll say, Alexis, does anything come to mind for you before I go on the tangent of a lifetime?
I'm sorry?
Do any songs come to mind for you?
For some reason, all I heard was like, are you ready to go on the tangent of a lifetime? And I was like, no, I'm not. You gave me no prep for that. I'm not ready.
No, are you ready to hear my tangent of a
I
lifetime?
am ready to hear yours.
I would like to open the floor to you before I dominate what I think the finale should be.
You tangent away.
Okay. So I'll set the scene. We're going back to 1989 era, right? This was the era of drama. High dramatics. We talked about Welcome to New York and like how it escalates everything, right? And where a lot of songs in this musical come from her more storytelling albums, her more albums that are based in folk and in country and in that kind of storytelling. I think to match the level of epicness and tragedy of Steve and Bucky, I cannot believe how deep into this I'm getting right now. Like, I'm laughing at myself, but it's good. And it's,
You go first.
No, you go first. You go first.
You go first.
To me, the song that has the lyrics and the drama and the heartbreak.
This is such a setup. Okay.
Is Wildest Dreams.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just looking through the song order and I was like, yeah, Wildest Dreams. Wildest Dreams, Taylor's version.
Taylor's version, absolutely. Yeah. Steve is bringing Bucky to Wakanda to, like, get better. And, like, who knows if that will even be possible, and who knows if that's even going to happen. And the line, "Say you'll remember me," holds so much weight in the context of Bucky forgetting him constantly.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
could we do like a little bit of a mashup with Coney Island? Just like feed it in a little bit to like, bookend it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I feel like somewhere like post the battle with Tony, but pre this moment needs to be Out of the Woods. Like that, like somewhere in there, like that question of like, are we done or are we moving to the next thing? Right. And then you have Wildest Dreams, which has like moved us on to the next problem.
Could it be when Steve and Bucky are on the jet, and Bucky's like, I'm not sure I'm worth all this.
Yeah.
And Steve's like, of course you are, Buck. Like, whatever.
Is that the time on the jet? Which time on the jet? The time on the
Sorry,
jet
when they're
mysteriously
going
there for
That's
6 hours?
before, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That time on the jet.
If you want to hear what Alexis just said, go watch us on YouTube.
Yeah. Is that a moment that's fitting for Out of the Woods? I feel like it's like a moment of anxiety and Bucky being like, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is like even worth it. I don't know if this is. What do you think, Marissa? You're thinking hard about this.
I think so. I'm trying to remember the lyrics, but
I could sing the whole song too.
Delicate
right now.
is trying to stand,
I'm
which
over
is
here
not
like,
right.
out of the
I'll like keep time, like I'll hit a little.
Okay, wait. I don't see that. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I think that's good. I think that would work.
Yeah. Remember when we hit the brakes too soon? Remember, Buck? Remember the times we used to have? Remember when Steve's like, oh, remember when we used to go to Coney Island and get hot dogs? It's like that. It's like, remember when we hit the brakes too soon?
When we used to go
in
to
the
Coney
hospital
Island
room?
Sorry.
I'm really dumbing it down here, okay?
I'm mentally ill. It's fine.
Aren't we all?
Oh,
Aren't we all?
Oh my god. We're 2 hours into a live about Rogers the musical.
The way you said it reminded me, there's this song from Bombshell where she sings about the national pastime, which is baseball. And there's this bit where she's like, hot dogs!
Yes.
That's what I thought of when you said that.
My god.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That's art, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
That's art.
It's a very interesting musical number.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it is. Like
It really is.
Every 2 songs in that show is an innuendo. Can I tell you, when you said history is made at night, I fell on the floor.
It's like, it's about history. Literally, people in my life had to be like, no, it's not. I also thought national pastime was about baseball for a very long time. Okay.
It's an old show.
I need like a chart.
Alexis is killing us right now on YouTube. If you're not watching, you're missing
He has
out.
the playbook because they're talking about history. The spinning couch is just like weird because they're talking about history. Yeah.
Oh, I adore you.
You tried so hard.
I did. I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it was like
Absolutely
years
did.
later. Like I was singing that song for years before somebody was like, what are you talking about? It's not about what you think it's about. It's fine. It's all good.
I love it.
Every day is a learning moment.
It is.
It really is, honestly. And speaking of learning moments, once again, our queen educator of TikTok, happy birthday to you. Thank you for enlightening all of us about important topics such as Alpine, about the true stories of Natasha Romanoff, the true stories of Bucky Barnes. Alexis and I had a very interesting conversation about Bucky Barnes yesterday that is worth unpacking in another episode of Stark Radio. We talked about Bucky and privilege and patriarchy.
And pants.
It was those are a lot of P words. Patriarchy, privilege, and pants. The Bucky Barnes special will be coming to your airwaves soon. But in terms of Rogers the musical, I really think we've done it. I really think we've made a musical out of 9 plus albums and the many movies of Steve Rogers. Now I feel like if we were talking about comic Steve Rogers, we would need a 12-hour live stream to do it justice. So perhaps a conversation to revisit another day about more of the comic moments about Steve Rogers that are worth noting in an adaptation to stage. But for today, are we satisfied with our lists and what we've come up with? Any suggestions or recommendations that we would want to change? One thought came to mind for me, which is that I feel like we need a cheesy curtain call number. But I don't know what that would be. Like I think about songs like "You Need to Calm Down," which are so like she wrote that song about the LGBTQ plus community. and about supporting the LGBTQ plus community. And if it's a story about Stucky, then like maybe that's a bit campy of a choice, but I don't think that's the right choice per se.
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
A really cheesy curtain call number. Shake It Off. Like that's like ultimate Taylor Swift right there.
Mm-hmm.
Might have to be Shake It Off. What do you think, Alexis?
Yeah, everything. Yeah. No, I agree. I think any other song that comes to me is like too deep, and I think it needs to be fun. You know,
what would be a deep choice?
Well, the lyrics aren't right, but like something that like with something that feels like no body, no crime, right?
Oh,
And you're also like, because you're also making that commentary about like Tony's choices, but I feel like that's too deep. Like I feel like it needs to be like a fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that No Body, No Crime maybe could be like also an Act 2 opening about like the history of the Winter Soldier. Like I've heard all these stories about like stuff that's happened.
Yep.
That would
like
be great.
What happened, like a pickup since like the Act 1 finale. Like here's what you missed. Like SC's a friend of mine. We meet up every Tuesday. She tells me these crazy stories about the Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
So they're the exact lyrics of the song if you did not know.
Yeah.
Justin did ask Freddie's roommate if Natasha has a song. We haven't talked about Natasha.
We haven't talked about Natasha.
Because Natasha's song would be No Body, No Crime.
Right. That's what I'm thinking is like,
literally,
should that be Natasha's song?
Yeah.
I think that would be great.
I think she opened Act 2 with.
Yeah.
But I also think in this version, you have to go with some iteration of them knowing each other before. Like, I don't think it has to be romantic, but I think like No Body, No Crime plays better if she is familiar with like what has been done to him in a way that she hasn't come clean.
Oh, with Bucky, yeah.
You're like, oh, well, actually, Bucky's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
We used to meet up in the red room and talk about how terrible things were. Bucky's been losing sleep. And I think Bucky's done all of this, but I can't prove it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. The perfect number.
Well, and the idea that like I think the Red Room has done all of this, but I can't prove it.
Yeah.
Right. Like
I think
they've operated over.
I think Hydra did it, but I can't prove it. Hydra did it, but I can't prove it. I think the Red Room did it to us, but I can't prove it. Like, you know, blaming all of these things. Like, who's the Winter Soldier? Like, well, I can't prove it, but I think this is where the Winter Soldier comes from. Yeah. We've heard all the mythical stories of like, you know, how he sets things up and what work he's done. So, and we have a cat to end the show. Oh my God, aren't we lucky? Let me full screen you.
Hi.
That's a big cat. It's a fat cat.
So this morning, I'm teaching my students in China, and I'm teaching this little girl, and she sees him, and she's like, he's fat and must be very lazy. And the next student I teach is this adult, and she's like, oh my gosh, your cat is so fat. He must be so healthy. And I'm like, that's the one we're going with. That's the take. We're going with like robust and healthy.
That's so good. Oh my God. Well, what a treat this has been. I'm so glad we got to cast Rogers the Musical together. And Alexis, I'm so glad you came for the last bit of the show and joined us. Thank you for joining us for this wonderfully chaotic episode of What If After Party, Birthday Party, casting and singing along to Rogers the Musical. I feel like we need to think of another angle to tackle next week in terms of Rogers the Musical. Maybe we flesh this out a little bit more. I feel like we can't let the trend die now that we've now that we've started this.
Too much fun.
Maybe we'll look at costuming next week. Maybe we'll just continue with like the plot of the show. Maybe we'll revisit casting. Who knows? You'll have to tune in and find out what we decide. But thank you. Follow Missa Bobissa. Do I say that right?
Yes, that's exactly right. I don't. To me, it's weird when people are like, am I saying that right? Because like it makes complete sense to me. It's just Missa Bobissa. Like I put the W there because I was like, it's Bo, not
Bo,
Ba or whatever.
Not like Baba Black
Missa Bobissa. I don't know. It's just my nickname that my mom calls me. Missa Bobissa.
I love it. I love it. And a cute comment to end the live. OMG cat. Exactly. This is the note we want to end on. Congrats to Alexis on hitting 10K and happy birthday to our queen. Join us in 3 weeks for a birthday special about Marissa. It will be equally as fabulous. Now that we know that that's happening, we'll plan for it. And with that, we're going to say goodnight to TikTok. Thank you so much to everyone that's watched and tuned in. I hope you've had a good time. I'm going to end the live here.
Bye-bye.
And we're going to say thank you to everyone that's watched on YouTube and Twitch over the past few hours. It's been really fun hanging out with y'all and developing all of this with you. And tune in next week, same time, same place. And we'll talk about the next episode of What If. And we will continue this Rogers the Musical spree that we've been on. Anything y'all want to plug before we log out?
Well, my plan was to plug Alexis, but she hit 10K, so
ruined all of our plans for this live, Alexis.
I guess keep following Alexis.
Keep following Alexis. We want her to have more followers than us, everyone.
Yes.
Both followers and fish comments are welcome.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Keep the fish commentary coming. Keep the plumbing commentary coming. Ask us more about showers and sinks in the MCU, please. We're begging. So we know Alexis's shtick. We know my shtick. What's yours going to be, Marissa? It's yet to emerge.
Hair.
We didn't talk about hair this episode. It's a good one, though.
Is it going to be counting if we can pass the Bechdel test?
Oh,
Yeah,
I like that.
Because we never
Although I can probably predict what will be of that, but
I don't think so.
Whoops.
All right, I'm going to end this broadcast. Thank you to everyone that's watched, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.